talking college sports, and in the Deep South, college football is king, and on the plains of Auburn, the battle cries War Eagle. Once again, it's K-Stu to go. For Vernon Speaks Sports, we're talking Auburn football and the rest of the SEC like nobody's business. Want to give a shout out to my fearless and true gang, War Eagle. We're talking Georgia football today. And see, here's the thing. I was thinking about Georgia football's schedule. When you look at this thing between Kentucky pretty much and Texas A&M, well, actually Kentucky and Georgia Tech, this is a pretty brutal stretch, I think, for the Georgia Bulldogs. You're talking, got a date with Kentucky. Actually, that game is going to be in Georgia. Then got to go to the neutral site game, the world's largest cocktail party against Florida. But then you got Missouri coming to town, which I think Missouri is going to be much improved. They're going to have a pretty decent quarterback in Kelly Bryant, who led Clemson to a college football playoff, subsequently losing that game 24-6 to Alabama when he was able to make it. Then the daunting trip to Auburn. Now, I'm not saying that just because I'm an Auburn guy, but Georgia doesn't particularly play well in Jordan-Hare Stadium. You look back to 2017 when Georgia made every mistake possible en route to a 40-17 loss. Did not keep Georgia out of contention for the SEC championship. As a matter of fact, got payback on Auburn in the SEC championship game in 2017, going on to be within overtime away from winning their first national championship since 1980. The game that really stands out to me when I look at this stretch, though, is Texas A&M. You're talking about a real interesting November for the Georgia Bulldogs, having to take on Auburn, Texas A&M, Georgia Tech, and then let's just assume they make it to the SEC championship. You talk about facing another top 25, top 15, maybe even top 5 team. Then after that, let's just say you do win the SEC championship. You go to the college football playoffs, obviously playing one of the top 4 teams in the nation. So that stretch, if Georgia is able to survive this particular stretch and actually win the national championship, I think this says a lot about Kirby Smart and his program. You talk about a team that should have, if we were able to rank rosters, you're talking about a team that should have, let's say, a top 5 roster if you were able to rank them. And, I just think Georgia, especially the fan base, really needs to understand what they're up against in that late October, November stretch, and even asking the team to continue to keep this going even into a prospective college football playoff. Now, I think Georgia can make it happen. I think, like you said, I think they have one of the better rosters in the country, obviously having great recruiting classes here over the last few years. The defensive line, in my opinion, has been a question. Some teams have had success running in between the tackles against Georgia on occasion, but we want to think that Georgia's gotten that fixed, got a lot of great recruits defensive line-wise in this particular class. So if Georgia actually, they definitely have the players to make this happen. You talk about Jeremiah Holloman that's coming back, got a really nice pickup from Alabama, Hoover High School, and George Pickens, who's going to help solidify some depth at the wide receiver position in the absence of Riley Ridley, who surprisingly decided to go to the NFL a little earlier than we expected. All right, so we still are looking at a quarterback that's going to be a 3-year starter, possibly a dark horse Heisman candidate. He makes very good decisions, and that's Jake Fromm. He has led this team to 2 consecutive SEC championship games, winning 1 over Auburn. Led a nice run in the college football playoff as a freshman. You can't take anything away from Jake Fromm, who will be playing football on Sundays in the near future. You also look at a very solid offensive line for the Georgia Bulldogs coming into 2019. Definitely going to be poised to make what is probably going to be one of the most difficult late season runs in the country if they're able to pull this thing off. I think defensively, Georgia's arguably going to have one of the best secondaries in the country with Richard LeCounte, J.R. Reed, Tyson Campbell, Tyreek McGee. These guys are very talented, and they really put a lot of anxiety on the quarterback because they do very well in zone coverages and they read the quarterback, and they read coverages very, very well. Let me know what you guys think about this late stretch for the Georgia Bulldogs and how you think they can come out. We think that Georgia is in position to possibly make a run in the SEC, obviously in the SEC East, and we will see how that translate over to a potential Southeastern Conference championship game in December. Once again, it's K-Stu the GOAT for Vernon Speaks Sports. We're talking Auburn football and the rest of the SEC. Today, we were talking about the Georgia Bulldogs. Go ahead and like this video. Subscribe to Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn. Until next time, guys, War Eagle.